Good evening and welcome. This is the regular Marion City Council meeting. It is now Thursday, December 3rd, 5:30. And right off the bat here, we don't have a quorum, so we'll see what happens later. Well, we're going to do some voting on some appointments, and I think we'll wait for these people to show up. We can do it later. If they won't show up, then we'll put it on to next week. So, no big deal. Right now, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Any hats? Take off your covers. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Ms. Pazur.
Here.
Ms. Etzel. Mr. Spinks.
Present.
Mayor Buska.
Present.
Mr. Brandt. Mr. Abou-Osley.
Here.
Mr. Draper.
Here. Everyone pause for a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
At this time, do we have any citizens who have any presentations, comments, and or petitions that are not on this evening's agenda? May raise your hand, sir, first, and then second.
You ready?
Name and address.
Name and address first, sir.
Okay, I'm Larry Smith. The address I'm going to give is 1890 7th Avenue, Marion. It's a handmade craft shop that I own and operate.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. In April 3rd of 2013, I applied for the tax incremental financing program through the city of Marion for my shop that I was working on, or going to start working on at that time. It went to the council on May 9th and was approved by this council. And so then in September of 2015, I turned in my first request for the rebate financing of that TIF program. I called back about 2 weeks later to the finance director, and he said that he didn't have any record of that approval ever going through. And so I brought him and the planning director a copy of my documents that I'd received and the date that it was approved by the council. He said he'd get back to me. He didn't, so I called him about 2 weeks later, the finance director again, and I requested that he do a search on the written and oral meetings during that time period, and he said he would do that. Again, I didn't receive a call back, so I called him again around the first week of November 2015, and this is almost word for word for what he told me on the phone. He said that even though my project was probably big to me and that the financing should be there somewhere, however, he had been working on other bigger projects, and mine kind of takes a second seat, and he didn't really have time to even look into it at all, nor would he take the time to look into it. So what I guess I'm asking the council now is to have someone go back and review those notes or oral minutes and find out where it was approved back on May 9th of 2013. I gave the copies to someone here that you can have of the application for the program and also of the minutes or agenda for that council meeting. And so I'm not quite sure what fell through the cracks, but something fell through the cracks, so we got a problem somewhere of either the department's overloaded with work or you got another issue with something else.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
Lon, thank you. You can sit down. Lon, we may not be late with this at all. These TIF requests and things like that, are they handled how are they normally handled and whatever?
We'll have to do some checking on that one and see. We'll try to reference it through our system by address and see if we can pull it up.
Sure.
But normally what happens, the council will go through the public hearing process, approve the development agreement. It has to be signed by the mayor after it's executed and approved by council. Then the signed document gets recorded with Lynn County. Once it's recorded with Lynn County, we still have to certify a debt to the county for whether it's for a rebate or a debt payment in fall every year, and then they will start rebating the taxes to us based on that. They're pretty good about calling us when they have development agreements coming up to make sure that we catch those. Occasionally, you do have one that will fall through the cracks if, for example, the development agreement says that it should be done by December 31st of 2015. They have construction delays, so it doesn't get done until February of 2016. They're actually better off to wait that extra year because they'll get a bigger rebate rather than doing it on partial construction. But I'll follow up with the finance department and see if we can get this one tracked down.
Yeah. I thought it might be a real convoluted situation there that involved other people, so we'll just track it down. Do you have any?
I just wondered if you could give his phone number to them so they, or have contact information.
Yeah. We do have contact information with this individual then. Fine. All right. Ma'am?
Hello, nice to see you all again. I'm Nancy Miller, 4618 Chestnut Ridge Court, Northeast Cedar Rapids, Iowa, but I'm representing the library at this meeting. And I just have a few little updates to give you. These were sent to me from Doug Raber when I asked him. We're trying to attend each of these city council meetings so we have better communication. So I got today. Joe Huberty of the Engbert Anderson architectural firm that has been drawing the potential plans for the possible mixed use, has completed the schematic design estimate narrative and has sent it to Ryan Companies. This is a document that the construction manager needs to develop specific building cost estimates for each component of the building project. Those estimates will be available possibly by the end of the month or the beginning of January. Secondly, Bradbury Gossick, which is a national search firm for library directors. We've met with them. They have now posted the ad for the director's position. And so our first meeting in terms of the result of how many possible people interested in this position will be about January. And we have already actually set up 3 dates because I will be coming to them with the sunshine in my suitcase. I'll be coming up from Florida toward these meetings, make sure that we get a really wonderful library director. And lastly, and I've just been reading your wonderful Marion Times. I do not get it, and maybe I should. I've found it very interesting to read. And all over your Marion Times newspaper is the Christmas in a Park. And this is really a fun night tomorrow night. Library Friends Group, which works so hard to advocate for the library. It's their annual holiday book and media sale. I've donated some things for it. In the lobby from 4 to 7. And then from 5 to 7, bring the children, the grandchildren, because they're going to be making a special cinnamon dough ornament to take home. Hopefully they won't eat too much of the cookie dough. And then we have the holiday tuba ensemble playing from 6 to 6:30 in the lobby. So we'll hear some good music. So that's what I have to report. Happy holidays.
Thank you. A good holiday report. Anyone else like to speak? Then we shall move on to the consent calendar. Councilman Spinks.
Yes, Your Honor. Is there any consent items need to be pulled for consideration? Hearing none, then I move to approve the consent calendar, items 1 through 34, which includes Resolution 24980 through 25004. Second.
Motion is made and second for the consent calendar. Discussion? All those in favor of the consent calendar signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And we shall move on to the second portion of the consent calendar. Councilman Draper.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Motion to approve the consent calendar with Council Member Abuelasli abstaining. And we have 2 liquor licenses, one for the Giving Tree Theater and the other for the Hy-Vee. We have no violations on either. And we have Resolution 25005 approving partial payment number 26 to Martin Gardner Architectural for professional services related to downtown facade in the amount of $4,158.70.
Second?
Motion is made and second for the second part of the consent calendar discussion.
This is number 26 of how many payments? How many is left on this? Or? No idea?
Hang on, Joe. Amanda's pulling it up.
We're looking this up.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, it's all right. Caught me off guard.
Let's stump the director tonight.
There you go.
I made it.
Kind of keeps gaining.
There's $30,247.50 remaining, so it's not to exceed $120,000 for the full contract.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor of this consent calendar signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
Abstain.
And one abstention.
Your Honor, I move to approve ordinance 15-23, the second consideration, establishing access fees related to the 2015 29th Avenue widening project. Now, this will cover anyone needing access to that street. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, the 2 adjacent properties, one with Dustin Kern with Prestwick, and then with Joe Robson, the other developer adjacent to it.
Okay.
Second.
Second consideration.
Second. We have a motion and a second for ordinance number 2015. Discussion. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Councilman Pazur, could you do the next one, please?
I can do that. Move to approve second consideration on ordinance 15-24, adopting the statewide urban design and specifications program.
That's why everybody's here.
Second?
Thank you.
For ordinance number 15-24, we have a second discussion. All those in favor of ordinance 15-24 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Your Honor, just for clarification, neither one of those ordinance second considerations can be considered because we are lacking
That's what I
the
was
number of
thinking.
people that needed to vote.
Otherwise, you'd have jumped right on.
I would have.
Okay.
At this time, I shall open a public hearing regarding the 2016 Lindale Trail Crossing at Lindale Drive project engineering.
Yes, Your Honor. On November 24th of this year, we did receive one sealed bid after solicitation of the project. We did receive that bid from Trey Electric Corporation for $16,769. There is an alternate within that we are considering, but the project would not be substantially different from the awarded amount, so we would recommend approval.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that is opposed to this particular project, this Lindale Trail Crossing project on Lindale Drive, I believe?
I think it needs to be explained.
That's what he did, didn't he?
No. He didn't tell exactly what it is going to be with the button and the, changing
Well,
lights.
sir, could you include
Sure.
the button?
At the current crossing location that we have on Lindale Drive, crossing that we put in a couple years ago, we will be putting up additional signage that will be lit. Will be responsive to the crossing pedestrian as they get to the intersection. They can push a button which will light the sign, allowing for better visibility for the approaching vehicles.
And that will require the approaching vehicles to stop, correct?
Yes, it will reiterate the need in the state of Iowa. They have to anyhow, but this will help with visibility.
Yes, sir. So, Again, is there anyone in the audience that would be opposed to this particular project? Raise your hand, please, and speak. None noted. Anyone in support of this project may raise their hand also and speak. None noted. Public hearing is now closed. Councilman Speaks.
Yes, Your Honor, I move to approve Resolution 25,006, accepting bids and awarding contract to Trey Electric Corporation regarding the 2016 Lindale Trail at Lindale Drive project and the amount of $16,769.
Second.
Motion is made in second for Resolution 25006. Discussion.
Now, this change, is that going to require a change as far as work order is concerned and financially?
If we go with a hard wiring instead of the wireless, it would be this amount. If we go with a wireless situation, it would be a reduction in the cost of about $4,000. However, we did discuss on Tuesday that we may have an extra work cost to the project based on the extra hardware that the confusion between the hardware provider and the contractor. We'll bring that back for council approval.
Okay, now my understanding is that as it stood with this, it was for a button on one side only.
Yeah, that's correct. The hardware was only bid as on one side. However, it was substantially below our estimates, so we feel like we can work with the contractor to make that whole.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? For Resolution 25006, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Councilman Abu-Wasley, please.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm going to take that for the councilman. Resolution 25,007, approving Coval's second edition to final plat, Lynn County, and memorandum of agreement for property located north of Echo Hill Road and west of Albernet Road, 2580 Echo Hill Road. Emo Coval is trustee of the Coval Revocable Trust.
Second.
Motion is made in second for Resolution 25007. Discussion. Those in favor of Resolution 25007 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Yeah, I'm abstaining. Thank you.
One abstention. Councilman Draper.
Thank you, Your Honor. Resolution 25008, approving the Commons of English Glen, third edition, final plat, and memorandum of agreement for property located east of 35th Street, north of 29th Avenue, Robbins Homes, Inc.
Second.
Motion is made in second for Resolution 25008. Discussion. Those in favor of Resolution 25008 signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
Your Honor, I move to direct staff to proceed with an offer to purchase properties from James Kleeman and Janice Asgard located at 3493 Winslow Road and 3490 Indian Creek Road related to the Tower Terrace Road Extension Project.
Second.
Motion is made in second for the motion directing staff to proceed with an offer to purchase. Discussion. Those in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? May you have the next, please?
Your Honor, I move to approve Resolution 25,009, adopting the City of Marion Major Streets Guide to replace the current City of Marion Major Streets right-of-way guide.
Second.
Motion is made in second for Resolution 25009. Discussion.
I want to thank Keisha for doing such a good job on this. That's something that we need to see into the future, and that's a very good guide. She did a good job on planning that out. So if you'd relay that to her.
Yep.
So, and appreciate you sending me a separate copy of it too. So.
Thank you. I'll relay that message.
It really shows the way the city traffic will be routed into the future. So it's a very good plan and that's what it is. It's a plan. Mm-hmm. So we get to see how the traffic will flow as the traffic in the city increases. So
maybe the Times ought to get a whole copy of that.
Yeah, that'd be a very good idea.
Get the plan to that. That would work.
It's a pretty map too.
Any other discussion? For Resolution 25009, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And moving on to administration. So on administration,
Your Honor, I've been asked to pull on administration items 1, 3, and 4. And also to table items 6 and 7.
On items 1, 3, and 4, the documentation wasn't ready for those yet, so they'll show up on the next city council agenda.
Okay. And then the 6 and 7, we want to wait till we have full council.
yeah, we'll get a full council on this one.
Okay.
Just
just 6 and
7. Just 6 and 7. Yeah. So,
Well, you made a motion, Councilman?
Yes, I did. And a second?
And second?
okay, we have a motion and a second to
Table.
remove,
Remove and table.
remove 1, 3, and 4, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
1, 3, and 4, and then table 6 and 7. All right, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? All righty, so we go to,
I move to approve resolution number 25010, awarding an engineering service agreement to Anderson Bogert Engineers regarding the Marion Airport layout plan.
motion is made and seconded for resolution 25010. Discussion?
I know they're doing the plan, but where is the step where we will have the people, the commission that looks at this?
I'm expecting that at the next city council meeting, we'll bring forward a list of appointees for that. We've gotten a significant level of interest in people wanting to be on that commission, so it's good. I actually have probably quite a few choices to make on putting that one together.
So what they come up with, this plan will be what the commission will start taking a look at? Is that the
Yep,
procedure?
they'll have a role in working with the prioritization of projects coming out of here. With the DOT program, obviously, they don't have enough funding to do the entire airport development all in one fell swoop. So there'll have to be some decisions made about what should be the highest priority, what one will pursue funding for first. They'll have a pretty big role with that.
So the one that we missed for this year, will that be one of the higher priorities for the next year?
Yeah, that was the actual physical improvements for the runway, and the reason that DOT cited, even though they know that it's a needed project, was that we don't have the layout plan, so they can't look at that and say that we were doing it at the correct skew or that it's the right length. They just need that information for us to really be eligible for the infrastructure side of the program. All the funding that we received this year was actually for planning dollars sides, and that would get us into the infrastructure, the physical improvements piece.
Thank you.
For a resolution, any other discussion? For resolution 25010, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And now we move to number 5. Could you do number 5, please?
Oh, sure. Your Honor, move to receive and file correspondence regarding the Park Board reappointment from Patty Weiss, 2570 Valley View Court.
Second?
Motion is made and seconded to receive and file correspondence. Discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And now we move
Yeah,
to...
Your Honor, I would also move that we receive and file correspondence from Charlie Kress that we received this evening expressing his interest in the Park Board and the, he prefers I not call it the dump committee, but I kind of hung up on that, so I think we should receive and file that letter as well.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to receive and file a second letter from Mr. Charlie Kress. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We shall now move on to council discussion, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Anything else? Good. Go ahead.
You ready?
You may.
I have had phone calls about the East Robbins Road Albernette intersection, saying that it is just really congested and possibly looking at a stop sign to help alleviate the traffic that is stacked up behind. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch the name of the one person that did call about that item, to call her back to have her write a letter or contact TAC, so if you could take care of that,
We do have contracted improvements proposed for that intersection in the spring.
excellent.
Does not include a stop sign, but we would like to try that first before we look at that. We do anticipate that traffic volume will go down considerably once Tower Terrace is built, which would be about 2 years. So we do need to look at it in a short-term basis anyhow.
Okay, also, thank you. Also, the intersection at 35th Street and 29th Avenue, from which the house was removed, appears to be an attractive nuisance, and there are kids playing in the depression, it's a slight depression there, in the basement of the house that was removed, and she was asking about possibly putting a fence around it to keep kids out.
Staff has met with the owner just the other day, and they were up the other day putting the fence up again. I'm not sure if it's still up or not.
Okay.
And they also have stated that they would have the piles of rubble out of there this weekend, so we'll wait and see on that. But we are in contact with the owner.
Okay. And then one last thing, and this is kind of a personal thing. In the Marion Times of this week, on the 50 years ago, it talks about John Pazur receiving a disability retirement. He was the postmaster 50 years ago. And it gives kind of a brief biography of this man. And after serving in the Navy, World War I, he worked for the Milwaukee Railroad and then was appointed inspector for the Motor Vehicle Department, a forerunner of the Iowa Highway Patrol. And it's just amazing because apparently the genes were just set right because, he was also mayor of Marion. So I've got the Navy and the law enforcement and the public service, and that was my uncle. I'm finished.
You just followed in his footsteps.
I am.
Well, Nancy mentioned the Christmas in the Park. That's coming up tomorrow night. But I'd also mention at the Lau Park, there's a coffee house and music tomorrow night as well. So when you get frozen over, being out in the park, go out to Lau and listen to some good music and have coffee and some cookies. So, and again, thanks to Keisha for that fine guide that she did. So that's all.
On the library's behalf, I know Nick was there and did go to the meetings are more interesting now to me because they are showing some rendering of what the outside of that building might look like if it were to occur. And it was interesting because it happened on a night the sirens went off and we all went to the basement. And I think that was a tricky way to get all of us to the basement of the library. But so I would encourage any of you as they move forward now, the drawings are going to be more sophisticated because it's changing and being twerked, and they look more compatible with our downtown buildings than the original plans were. So go to those meetings and don't be bashful. Let them know how you feel about it. I'd like to apologize briefly with staff. I had a little occurrence this evening which brought the paramedics to our building, which they responded very quickly. And we heard something beeping in the office, and we didn't know what it was. Well, it was me. And I would forewarn anybody with a pacemaker not to get a magnet near it. I had this little bitty city badge on my coat, and I thought Tom was making me beep, but it wasn't him. It was that magnet and this thing inside me keeping me alive. So we got very good response time. I'm sorry I got the guys out, but they came in a good amount of time, and I know they're capable of it. So that's all I have. I'm going to go home and continue my nursing of my wife. So
You did promise number 7 of the fire stations because of this.
Well, I did, yeah, I made an idle promise. I keep talking about Station 3 and where we're going to put it. And I keep reminding the chief that we need to be thinking when we place Station 3 to think about where 4 is going to be. We have 500 plotted lots, I believe the figure is, Tom, right now. And our growth is such that 3 fire stations, maybe as quick as 7 years from now, is not going to be enough. And so we may very well have four stations in that period of time to keep our response times as good as they are, which they're excellent. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Lon, are we still on for the special session?
Yeah, the labor strategy session.
Okay.
All right, I have one
Sorry.
small
I'm
thing,
not
sir.
rushing
I hate to interrupt you, but say last night, Marion Tire took the lead. They do it every year. They gave away a car to a needy family that was sponsored by the Salvation Army. Troy and his gang down at Marion Tire put all this together. They involve Deary Motors down in Iowa City, Salvation Army. Hy-Vee fills the car full of food. Millhauser Insurance provides the insurance for a year for these people. Hy-Vee also provides a significant amount of gas for these individuals. And it's a sight to behold when that name is called and the family finds out that they now have a car. It's just absolutely amazing, and it really brings home the holiday season for this. And they do it every year, and it's just the fire department is there, the police are there, and it's just a joyous occasion for this family. Of course, they're brought up and they think that they're just being let in like a bunch of sheep, I guess, by the Salvation Army, and then their name is called, and everything just goes to heck. So it's just amazing. So anyway, that's that. So we shall temporarily adjourn. Is that correct, sir? Or are we here now, or what do we do?
Yes, you can just adjourn. Labor strategy sessions are exempt from the public meeting law, so you don't need my opinion to adjourn into a private labor strategy session.
Do we have to meet in a secret spot then, or do we talk? What do we do
No,
here?
I generally
Adjourn, so now we
okay.
can do something.